A few years back, I lamented the revival of brown as an acceptable colour for a car. I think I'd just driven a VW that was finished in evening beige or some such. Brown, I reasoned, was an unsuitable colour for a car because it is not one we associate with motion. Trees and fields are brown. Depictions of space rockets in science fiction comics are red or white. Brown is good for organic matter where it is infinitely varied in hue and texture, which is why it looks good on Conkers and Labradors. It even looks good on the interior of my Porsche because it's brown leather and delightfully mottled like a nicely aged chucker boot. But in a solid and unrelenting form, such as paint, it doesn't work, and especially not on anything intended to invoke a desire for movement. I live quite near an airport, and am fairly certain that no respectable airline has chosen brown for its corporate livery. And it obviously wasn't just me, because 3 years on, the threatened brown car renaissance has not, after all, exploded onto our roads like the effluent from a ruptured council sewage tanker. But it might yet. In the last few weeks, I've once again noticed a few obviously very new and undeniably very brown cars out there. One of them was a Bentley, for Pete's sake. Someone has parked a brown car around the corner from my house, and the whole street has been plunged into gloom and despair by the way it sucks in all light and proper colour from the formerly pleasant urban scene. And now a friend has expressed an interest in ordering a small Japanese hatchback in something chocolatey, and she didn't mean Milky Bar. This really must stop, and I've come up with an even better reason why a car should not be brown. Cars are technologically more forward-looking than they've been at any time in their short history, and brown is absolutely not the colour of progress. This much struck me while visiting a rather interesting museum of early domestic radios while working on my 20th Century Technology series. The incongruity apparent in early radios is that although they were the technical marvel of the age, they still ended up looking like 300-year-old furniture. The tuning scale, glowing warmly like some futuristic hearth for the comfort of the assembled and astonished family, was set in wood, and wood is almost always brown. Early gramophones and televisions were wooden, and hence brown as well. Even their knobs and switches, though they may seem black at first, will, on closer examination, be revealed to be of bakelite, and hence very dark brown. Same goes for the first domestic telephones. Worse still, all of these things were additions to the progressive home, not replacements for anything, so they merely added to the overwhelmingly brown theme long established by tables and sideboards. Brown is, in a way, symbolic of these early devices' struggle to attain true modernity. Because in the pre-modern world, surely everything was brown. It was largely mud anyway, and mud is brown. Pre-war pubs have brown tiled floors and brown panelled walls. Old wallpaper was brown. When coal was burned, the air itself could turn slightly brown. The world was dirtier then, and dirt is inevitably brown, and was everywhere. The poet Philip Larkin acknowledged that your life could be screwed up by your parents, but that theirs had been screwed up in turn by fools in old-style hats and coats. I've seen photographs of the sort of people he was referring to, and though the photographs may be black and white, I can tell from some spectral resonance of the greys that those hats and coats were often brown too. People must have thought in brown back then. But with modernity and new materials such as plastic, nylon, synthetic rubbers and composites, technological pioneers were no longer obliged to use brown and, as optimists, didn't. The rise of the transistor radio and its consequent miniaturization roughly coincided with the advent of injection-molded plastics. You will struggle to find a 1950s pocket radio in anything other than red, yellow, or bright blue. This was the age in which the cult of radio really took off, in short, when it was released from brown bondage. Quite right, too. Think of some of the modern things that people are buying at the moment. Computers, iPods, plasma televisions, juicers, high-tech training shoes, carbon fibre skis, mobile phones. I haven't seen any brown examples, and the same goes for any new aeroplane, railway locomotive or speedboat. The future is always bright. It might even be orange, but it will never be brown, and neither should your car. One thing